All right, folks, we're back. Unfortunately, we still don't have any matches giving us results, and there's no like game 2s or game 3s opened up just yet. But Zombie Grub.
What?
soO's been playing pretty good lately. You know what I think you could call him?
Playing pretty well. What?
A ghost soO.
Okay. That's like a polite golf clap joke.
You just got, like
that brought a smile to my face, but it's not even that cringy.
you're like, I breathed some air out of my nose pretty hard to that one.
Well done.
Actually, I remember you were on Nation Wars, and I can't remember what the game or series was because we were talking about Bonjwa as being like a state of mind or whatever. And
Oh yeah.
I had two people immediately message me who remembered my Bonjwa story, saying, "See, Ripken, this is what a Bonjwa is."
Oh wait, Banter. Is that the way you thought? Like it was Bulgogi?
No, I thought Bonjwa was a person, and I was like, "What?" Like everyone keeps talking about this guy that I've never seen play games. They're like, "Who is this? Who is this Bonjwa player that is so good at the game?"
There's like a Friends episode, right, where like the guy's like, "I thought that gunpoint was a real place." You keep on saying you get held at gunpoint. Why would anyone ever go there?
That's good. I haven't seen that. That's good. No, but I guess for those who don't know, like the TLDR is a long time ago on stream. I embarrassingly admitted that because I was bad. Like I got into StarCraft late. I didn't know a lot of these things, and I kept just hearing constantly. You'd hear Tasteless or Tosis. They talk about this Bonjwa guy, and I never saw him play any game. So for the longest time, I thought it was an actual person, not like a phrase or a description or anything like that. So, yeah, so cool. I know.
Well done.
Hero Innovation Game 2 is apparently going on. Let's join off that, I guess. Let's get some more matches rolling. Nope, it already started. Psych!
JK. Okay.
All right, well, Stats is out. Hey, score. So if Stats and Impact are going to like Game 3 or something, we'll try to get into that. If they're not and they're done, then... Oh, Stats won. Nice.
Good guess. Messaging stats.
I know, it's 50-50, right? Like, what are the chances? So it's going to be soO versus Stats in a ZVP coming up next. soO versus Stats. Nice. Oh, whoops. I think I cut Olimoleague off. Not intentionally, though. Alright, soO versus Stats. I guess I'll leave you to poke them and figure out... Or I guess you can just host, because we know the maps. So
That's
Echo.
right. And I'll invite them. And they have no choice but to join.
That's right. They'll do what I say. I'm the host.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently
That's
my
right.
joke wasn't even original. Other people have been making it all week, according to Blunderful Guy. Feels bad, man. Well, I hadn't heard it. Okay.
I mean, I've heard it before, but like all week.
By the way, while we're getting this lobby set up, kind of a cool announcement. TwitchCon has officially been announced for 2017. It's going to be on Long Beach in California. It'll be October 20 to the 22nd. I gotta say, TwitchCon is a bit of an interesting experience because it doesn't host a lot of esports related things, but they had some interesting panels. I enjoyed a lot of the people I got to meet. I'm definitely looking forward to TwitchCon again this year. So, without a doubt, I will be trying my hardest to go.
I'm already looking at hotels. I'm on top of this.
Wow.
I imagine Long Beach is kind of an expensive place.
Oh, that's that place I got put up in that fancy hotel where that one terrible thing happened to me.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That was a very pricey area for sure. I hope the hotels that we have to pick from are not those ones. But okay, we are in the lobby. It's Echo, game number 1, Stats versus soO, PvZ.
soO needs a minute.
Okay. I haven't tweeted at all. You know, I will say, this is what I miss about having Zeph around, for real. She was so diligent about tweeting every single game. I'm like, I should do that. I used to do that.
I want to fill up my timeline. Just occasionally retweet something.
Well, for me, it's just more about like remembering to do it is the hardest part.
Ready. Good deal. Hmm.
All right, there we go. I managed to mangle out a tweet. I spelt things wrong. I had to retype it 12 times. Nailed it. I learned how bad I am at typing the word medicine, by the way, today. I've been playing a lot of Ana in Overwatch, and when people start getting like, I'm actually really good at landing sleep darts. And when people start getting mad about it, I just start like responding with not BM, but just saying like, take your medicine, go to sleep, you know, that sort of thing. And I've spelled medicine wrong like 100 times today. I'm not sure why this word is so tough for me. But anyways,
you spell it right now. Do it. We're in a spot. Go.
MEDCICINE. Shut up.
You didn't get the vowels wrong. You just skipped them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1. We are in the Olimoleague round of 8. It's a brand new best of 3 and spawning here in the top left. He took a 2-0 over his Terran opponent. We see how he does versus Protoss. It's soO.
In the bottom right is the red Protoss. He is stats.
If our Zerg player was in the Grinch, do you know what his name would be?
No.
Little Cindy Suhu.
Okay. I was like, I remembered the girl's name, like, started with an S, but I couldn't remember what her name was, because I'm not weird. I remember stuff like that.
Are you insinuating something here?
Do you watch... It's like... I could imagine you watching Jim Carrey's The Grinch every Christmas.
Oh, God.
It's your go-to movie.
No, I was thinking like the old anime, like Dr. Seuss one from like the 90s, man. Or 80s even. Like Jim Carrey.
Nope. The bad one. You gotta go with the bad one.
Well, let's hope that versus Protoss, this guy has no problems, or I guess you could say no issues.
I'm gonna sue you over that joke.
Based on what legal grounds? There was no copyright infringement. Alright, so stats, by the way, very diligent with scouting. I think 2 thumbs up in that regard. We see a lot of Protoss being a lot more consistent with the early probes. And on top of the scouting, he gets 2 very annoying pylons down. soO is kind of forced to deal with this.
Yeah. You know. Kind of sucks. Pretty annoying, but usually not super game affecting. I think on Echo, it's quite difficult to take a 4th base as your 3rd, or your natural, rather, as Echo does really start to push the bases towards your opponents after the 3rd base. Oh, but soO goes for a very early evolution chamber. He will have drops in position, but this could just be so super early +1. +1.
For those who are criticizing my spelling of the word medicine, I would like to just point out, when you're put on the spot, anything becomes difficult, okay? Even the simplest thing.
Spell your name.
N-A-M-E.
N-A-M-E. Name.
Spell it.
Your name.
Go ahead and spell it.
Y-O-U-R.
All right.
Did you read it? Did you like it?
What's the Wi-Fi password? 4 words uppercase, 1 word lowercase.
That'd be a very long password.
No, it's just 4 words uppercase, but it's 1 word lowercase.
Yeah, I know, that's a long password. That's like, what, 20+ letters.
Okay. So
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's actually a rocket jump skit, but Ling's managed to get uploaded here to the main. Just keep in that theme for a moment, as Stats doesn't see this, unfortunately. It's the one dead space in his base where he just doesn't see anything. So these Lings jump over to that mineral line, and unfortunately it's going to cost him a couple of probes. If he pulls right away, you don't lose that many, but he's a little bit hesitant even, so it ends up being 5 probes dead right away.
Plus the Adepts, one of them could have died, I think, if the probes didn't help for sure, but it would have been all of the Lings for that, and it's not quite worth, especially if you can still target fire some of these probes down. That's 7 probes now. soO certainly striking back after the 2 pylon block.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of information revealed with this too. Not only does soO get some damage, which was nice, but he sees the chrono boost. He knows it's likely resonating glaives are not going to be blink. So Baneling Nest starts up. It's a good response to what is possibly going to be a lot of Adepts. The +1 melee is going to help the Lings chew through the Adepts as well. And let's not forget, that Overlord may end up coming back for round 2 at some point. Whoa, what is this weird terrain glitch? Do you see this on the wall?
I don't. Oh, no, I do, actually. Whoa.
That's not supposed to be like that.
Has it always been like that?
I don't know. That's the thing. It just kind of stood out.
It's going to be like the new Ruins of Ceres tree.
The one little tree, yeah. Oh, God, that's so annoying. The OCD would be crazy with that.
Okay, so soO does have Banelings on the way, but the Baneling Nest is a little bit late to this attack. It's not being followed up by the Warp Prism, though, so soO should be okay. And he does still have that Overlord, as you pointed out, to continue aggression after he deals with this. +1 almost done.
The +1 melee, I like that he's waiting to engage, but it's so, like, it's not that far out. It's like 10 more seconds to go, but it feels like an eternity away. So he's pulling these drones. He's going to hope that Echo Chamber doesn't go down. The Banelings are looking to get to these as they transfer, which I think is really cool out of soO, but unfortunately they do cancel. Now spreading behind the mineral lines, but spreading is what he wants because now the Lings can possibly surround. +1 seconds from finishing, but he's losing a lot of Lings early on. Stuck behind the mineral lines. He can't quite chew through. Those Adepts are blocking out really nicely. Now they're starting to run, but the Baneling gets a good hit. Lings have that surround, and he cleans this up. He keeps a lot of drones alive. As we look at the income, it did fall off badly as he stopped mining, but having the third base active is what kept soO afloat.
It is, but that did more damage than anticipated. It wasn't about it being finally cleaned up. It was how long it took to clean up, you know? Like, it's very different if they kill 8 drones but are immediately cleaned up with a Baneling hit than it is killing 5 drones and then taking 30 seconds to a minute.
That +1's good for the surround. The force fields actually keep a lot of these units barely alive. A couple sentries going down, but if those had not been reacted to as quickly, this could have been a lot more damage done. If those sentries had died, that would have been very cost-effective for soO.
Yeah, that could have been bad. Too bad there wasn't like 10, 15 more Lings. The Baneling's going to try and sneak into the natural, but that would never happen. Would never happen. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do?
Well,
okay, he's bringing queens across. That's what he's trying to do.
Alright, see you in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right? I don't really... I think soO was in a really good position after that Ling attack, but I really feel like the Adepts did some equalizing and then some damage. I don't know if soO's all-in is going to work anymore, but he is getting a lot of roaches, and I think he's giving Stats a bit of like fake confidence here as he pushes forward.
Yeah, I mean, Stats takes a fight that looks really good, and you're like, soO, now you're out of juice, but with so many roaches and more importantly, so many low health Adepts, if these were all full health units, they might actually be able to take on the roaches. But the fact that a lot of them, even with their shields, are very close to death, Stats has a pretty good chance of dying. Also, let's not forget soO's awkward queens down here are a little bit exposed right now. He's got to hope that these don't get caught. Last thing he would do is have to burn those transfuses without a little bit of support around them.
I really do fear for Stats now, though. His gateways are a little bit late to the party. He doesn't have pylons in the middle of his natural and third base. He never started any Immortals.
I don't think he's expecting roaches. I think he thought with the +1 melee, especially, this would be a lot more Lings, but soO's surprising him, and it's going to be a great surprise for the Zerg. Not such a great surprise for the Protoss. He can hold this ramp for a long time with force fields, but as those force fields go up, soO could just turn around and take the third base instead. He really wants to push in, though, and press the advantage. He knows he's got pressure on his side. He doesn't want to give his opponent any time to get Immortals out. We also have an Overlord for high ground vision. This is something that was missing earlier today. We're watching those Hydra slam against the wall. But now the Roaches have no problem shooting up. The Ravagers have got those Corrosive Biles. Queens have got some range. Transfuses aplenty still behind this. He's going to keep those Roaches alive. Not even worried. They go down so slow. Now the Immortal pops out. Might change, though.
Yeah, those force fields end up being pretty good, and he's not breaking them with the Corrosive Bile. He's trying to hit the Immortal and the Sentries, which isn't doing so badly, but it might have been worth killing the force field. This
is pretty all-in out of soO, though. He's not droning up behind this at all. He's still just pumping out lots and lots of units, and unless he breaks Stats is the better 3-base economy to recover off of.
Oh, yeah. If this isn't going to work, then soO might just, he might just be dead. And soO is banking a ton of money here. Can't afford, I guess because he brought all those queens, of course. Can't have enough larvae for his economy, even if it wasn't that great, and with 2 Immortals now, Stats is looking pretty good. His economy was not touched this entire time. Mothership? Okay, well, I guess it lost anyway. Stats is to be a little bit careful. I do think if he's patient and wise enough, he will be able to take care of this. He's waiting on a Cyber Expert to finish up, I suppose. That's actually kind of a big deal, having to only warp in plain Zealots. Another Immortal's about to pop out and help out.
Well, Ravagers are still doing the best they can. The nice thing is they don't take the bonus damage from the Immortals, but even then, still kind of flimsy units, generally speaking. I do wonder if we could go back in time, do like a recover from replay thing. Would it have been better for soO to go to the third and then fall back, play a macro? Because this all-in was risky to begin with. I think he knew that too. All these Archons now coming into the lines. There's just no way he fights the Archons.
Yeah, there's no way to deal with those. I don't think he has enough Crystal Biles, even if they all hit. Stats looks like he's going to hold here. He has too many powerful units. He still has a really good economy. And soO just, I mean, even if you wanted to start a macro transition, again, he doesn't have the larva to start making drones. Oh, he didn't even have a lair. Oh, Lord.
I was like, Crystal Ball's getting some pretty good hits on the retreat, but yeah, it's still not going to be enough to win him the game. I also like the stats. You got the War Prism picking up the Immortals. That'll bring them to the front lines a lot faster. Fourth base might be an interesting asset. He runs by with a lot of links, but the Zealot Warpins are ready to catch them. Unfortunately, they will not accomplish too much here.
That's a pretty impressive hold by Stats, who didn't really recognize the situation until very late. But I agree, it might have been better for soO to just, you know, take out the third base and then go after the ramp, but either way, it might have been too difficult. This looks like the end, especially if these Zealots had charge. Without those Immortals power through the roaches. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Although, I think if you squeeze a roach, I don't think lemon's gonna come out.
What if it did though, right? I'm thinking like, you know those little stress balls you would press and like it would have like the stuff kind of come out the side?
Oh, I kind of know what you're describing.
Yeah, I'm thinking like they got the tunneling claws, you squeeze in, turns out those are lemons on the back.
What if they have the stuff that's uncorrosive in the Ravagers inside of them?
So Kool-Aid?
So when you squeeze them, Kool-Aid comes out. Yeah.
Oh my god, they're like gushers. Fruit gushers.
Yo, do you know what Go-Gurt is?
Yes, I loved Go-Gurt growing up.
Okay, good, because I was afraid it was only an American thing, because I forget who I was explaining it to. But, yeah.
Go-Gurt changed, by the way. I'm not sure if this is still the case now, but they changed it to like tubes, and they have this really dumb thing where they'd like, for some reason in the commercial when you said tubes, the voice would go like all like robotic and auto-tuny. I'm like, is this supposed to be cool? Like, tubes. I'm like, what the fuck?
Tubes. I don't recall that commercial. I haven't tried Go-Gurt since I went to like middle school, I guess.
I just liked it because it was you could freeze them and it would make for like really nice.
Oh,
summer snacks.
That was really good. Frozen Go-Gurt actually is super legit.
Yeah.
I forgot I used to do that. That's a good idea, man.
Habitation Station, by the way, if you didn't get whispered.
I eventually got whispered.
Nice. All right, game 2 comes up in a moment. Let's see. Rickapy hit us up with a 27-month resub, by the way. I'm sorry we missed that, so I need to make more I need to make cookie partoofs because I still haven't gotten my 12-month partoof. Yo, did you send us a message about Rickapy? We've mailed so many of these out. If you still haven't gotten yours, send us another message on the channel. I'll send it to you personally.
Wow, you don't believe in my partoof sending abilities? It's fucking rude, mate.
Did I say that? I think it was rude for you to assume.
Like, you kind of implied it.
I just meant that if Zombie Grub's very trustworthy and has been very respectful and respectable, partoof sending failed, I would give it my best shot. I think it was rude for you to assume otherwise.
No, the implication is there.
The implication. Oh, you don't watch It's Always Sunny.
No, I've seen the clip, but you're right, I don't watch it.
The implication. Oh my gosh. The new It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, even if you've never seen a single episode, I think you personally would love it. A, it had Scott Bakula. B, it had a lot of Quantum Leap. And C,
really?
It was a musical. It was a really good episode.
I was going to say, because Scott Bakula's only ever been good in Quantum Leap.
it apparently, by the way, has reached some like record as far as like a debut goes for an episode. I would recommend looking it up. I really enjoyed it, but also made me feel like a terrible person for enjoying it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 here for the Olimoleague round of 8. Top left side of the map, we do have the guy up 1 game currently in this series. It's going to be the Blue Protoss Stats.
In the top right is the Red Zerg. He is soO.
So it's interesting when you compare the list of accomplishments of these guys, right? Like, you got Stats recently finishing, like, top 4 BlizzCon. You're kind of like, ooh, cool. You got soO, who might not be so prestigious in terms of, like, accomplishments there, but we've seen him a lot more on the channel. We've seen him win the Olimoleague from last year. So, in each of their own rights, they've had quite a good run for their 2016 careers. And coming to 2017, I like that we get to see such good champions fighting each other fresh. But Stats, I mean, he won that first game, and honestly, it almost looked easy, but I cannot begin to stress, like, how, like, after taking the damage from soO's Lings, the fact that he kind of knew what was coming but didn't, but still held really well. There was no panic, and it was, like, deadly calm. I think that was so awesome out of soO, or Stats, excuse me, in that last game.
Yeah. I mean, his adept attack really did more damage than it probably should have. If soO had a Baneling nest 20 seconds earlier, his Banelings are formed and therefore, like, stopping the adepts from transferring in a big clump. And it took so long to clean up even when he decided to engage because he was stuck behind the minerals.
Yeah.
Stats counter was very, very good. It set him up nicely for the macro game, but the lack of scouting could have, I think, killed a more panicked Protoss. But right, Stats had a pretty calm reaction when he realized what was happening.
By the way, just as a side note, I don't think I want to make this clear, we have no plans for this. This is not like a secret announcement of an announcement, but I would totally love if we could grab somebody like soO or Stats, not even like full-time, but just like to part-time stay in the Korean house we're going to be hosting, like have them come by for a week, a month, I don't know. It'd be really cool to have them kind of mixed in with the foreigners and see how that goes.
They wouldn't talk at all to each other.
I don't think that's how that would go, to be honest.
There'd be no mixing.
But yeah, if you guys can see also, just as a side note, Root Gaming recently announced that Kella Azur will be staying at the house after WESG. I think, WESG is this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we haven't made big announcements about it on the channel, and we haven't made like huge crazy announcements about it in general because we were waiting until the house was actually open. It actually becomes ours on the 12th. It's 12th to the 15th. I can't remember which. No regrets helping us spearhead it all. So you guys will get more information like as we actually get the house up and running. But we've got about 6 people lined up to be staying there for the first 1 to 2 months of the year. So very excited to see how that pans out. And I hope that you guys, the fans, will enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah, cool. So we have a Stargate opener, which does make sense on a map like Habitation Station. It has this close by air little thing going on. And I think it just works out well as an opener, of course. It seems to be less popular than a Dark Shrine opener or even the Adept opener nowadays, but I think on certain maps it just is preferred, so. Habitation and Bonnie, I would say. Which I've had to learn how to pronounce correctly so I don't constantly trip up my co-casters at Nation Wars.
Oh my god, that's another thing. So, in this episode of Sunny that I want you to watch with Scott Back and all that, he's singing one of the lines for the song he's talking about is how he misses his mansion in Van Nuys. And I'm like, oh, that's what we're saying.
See, you unfortunately keep on bringing up the fact that it's a musical, which made me remember that I really do not like musical episodes.
It's like not a musical in the way you're going to think, though.
Well, okay, is it like Futurama musicals, like the devil one?
It's that tier of silly, but a lot less musical than even that was.
Okay. I
don't want to give
that
spoilers. But anyways, regardless of that, I see we got Prognosticator talking about like a Go-Gurt tournament. Yo, I would 100. If there was like Go-Gurt for a prize pool, I would.
Here's
play
the thing, though. Like, I feel if esports really was targeted to 12-year-olds, 12 to 14-year-olds, there actually would be a ton of like funny sponsors that might actually be interested, like Go-Gurt or Capri Sun or Sunny D, which is disgusting, by the way. I would never accept them as a sponsor, but it's actually not even, and I don't think anyone over the age of 20 remembers that they liked Go-Gurts. Because I think if they did, they would go out and buy Go-Gurts, because I'm going to go out and buy Go-Gurts and freeze them as soon as you reminded me, but I didn't remember that I liked them. So it wouldn't work out.
Strawberry and blueberry, man. This is my jam, so to speak. But yogurt, not jam, obviously. Layer starting up for soO while this goes on. A bit of like, I guess like faux aggression. The Oracle not really accomplishing much. The Adept's not quite transferring in. Seeing what soO has to defend with. It's not willing to jump in there like he was last game.
Easiest tag ever. Right, right. I think it's a smarter choice here, as soO was already getting prepared, showed a lot of lings. Did still have a Baneling Nest, but I like this choice better for stats. It's usually, of course, the safer choice to save the Adepts, and as long as you force out some lings, it seems kind of worth it. Now this will put stats on the defensive once again, if soO decides to go for a big Roach Swell or a lot of Banelings, but soO so far just getting... well, a few more drones, and he gets 20 more lings. He might be trying to, well, just completely dominate this Adept army, and then counterattack right to that third base.
The concern is it is all just lings, right? +1's not done. Baneling Nest still isn't finished. We actually have a stasis trap coming down. That could be a lot of problems depending on how this is handled, but soO does see that, so he triggers it with 1 ling. Nice move. Very triggered. The Adepts get to that mineral line, though. These drones are in a lot of trouble. They get pulled away, but getting on top of this, he just doesn't have the army. He knows it too, and I like that he's not going in, because if he just wastes all the lings, then he has absolutely no chance. Whereas if he takes a couple of losses but waits for the banelings, he's got a much better chance of taking on this army.
You can't really blame soO for not being prepared for this Adept attack, as it's not an all-in, you know.
The baneling Nest got taken down.
Oh, that might... well, it's not game. It might just do too much damage. I mean, he got a lot of lost mining time, a couple of drones, and a lot of lings. And this, again, took a long time for soO to clean up, so Stats is able to finish up his gateways, hopefully get another couple rounds of Adepts back at home in case soO tried to counterattack. And feels a little bit similar to that last map.
Yeah, the Oracle, of course, going to make this a little bit more nasty, too. Got a couple more kills, so it flies off. Lings, in the meantime, just dancing around the center of the map, and this is... there's not really an opening. There's a lot of force fields available. There's 2 overcharges through those pylons. There's just no way these lings will get a surprise attack they were looking for.
soO is on his way to Hydralisk, and he has time to recover, but said Stats is already on to these... well, everything he needs, right? Like, he was a little bit late to the tech, but still finalized the Templar Archives and has charged on +1 on the way. And has a lot of production, too. And soO only just recently got to a stable economy with a 4th base now being taken as a gold. I like that. I think it's totally viable, especially against Protoss, but especially if the, you know, other player expands south and at their own gold. That way, maybe you don't fight around the gold, you actually fight down the south, but we'll see what happens. soO did not have this nice little, you know, easy ride to 65 drones and then a huge swell of an army.
You know, it's just occurring to me, too, talking about timings for things. The Baneling Nests haven't gone down. That meant speed was delayed, too, right? So his Banelings not only don't have speed, they're going to be missing that essential 5 extra health, which actually goes a long way when you're fighting against slow-firing Protoss units. This attack, the main, gets a little bit more drones than I think anyone expected. Stats still looking to pick up and just fly away. Gold for gold, I'm actually a little bit more worried about soO taking this base. It's definitely a bigger and easier target. Not to mention things like Colossus or otherwise could police this if necessary, but I don't think we'll see those come out anytime soon.
Well, if Stats to continue expanding to the south, and this might not have been a problem, but Stats also taking his gold, then yeah, I would give that to the Protoss, who has had a very good game to those points. So 20 army supply ahead with a very good-looking army, too. Takes out the gold base with a couple of zealots, and is looking to crash into soO's army, potentially. I think he'd rather have soO crash into him, but soO realizes the thing he wants.
Yeah, soO actually can't push through this because of the concave type thing going on. If Stats comes through that bridge, at least he glumps up for a small second, and maybe then Hydras can concave or Banelings can connect. But if he pushes through this, there's no way he can fight Stats' army spread out like this. So much of what soO has is banked on like these Banelings getting at least a little bit of splash damage.
Well, soO, I mean, it's smarter not to engage into that try and save your gold base. If he had, he probably does just lose the game. But it still is not a good position for a Zerg player as to expand to the south. Still only at 60 drones, too. Loses a couple more. Or really, I think 65 or 70 would be much better. Yeah, he makes 8 now. His upgrades are decent, but Stats is already on the way to his +2 as well, with Storm.
I think Storm is the most harrowing thing to see. I didn't realize the Stasis Trap had caught these Banelings, but this is also not where you want to sit on top of 2 Banelings. So there we go, starts spreading out. But so much of what soO has is susceptible to storms, right? Lings, Banelings, Hydras, these are all things Storm is particularly good against.
Yeah. Stats has a very good army in a very good position. It's been that way for quite a bit. soO could hope for a really awesome surround, but I would say that's kind of difficult on Havertz Station unless they go to the south of the Zelnaga. Even here, it's kind of a tight space, so not going to be ideal.
+2 melee is going to be absolutely fantastic for these banelings. I really wish soO was doing some baneling drops, to be honest, while this goes on or something, just a way to utilize them a little bit more. But I think for him, he knows he's down in army supply and every unit counts, so he's being a little bit hesitant to do any sort of like counterattacks or base trades. Like he's keeping most of his units at home. He's going to finally segment a couple of lings out to maybe hit the south side, but there's already cannons up. There's no way this is going to get much done.
No, that's a very, very small attack. And +1 Carapace is about to finish, but again, I think he also would need a very good positional engagement. Making banelings in front of the army is not what I was thinking, or having banelings out on a ramp against storms into Archons. Actually doesn't end up so badly. There just wasn't enough Archons to soak everything up, and there's no War Prism here either, so stats would never actually truly engage. His War Prism is still alive attacking the main base.
So the Zerglings, by the way, weren't going to get a lot done, but the Banelings did. They actually rolled in and got some pretty nice damage, but as you pointed out, War Prism in the main causing some counterattack, so 10 probes, 6 drones. Both armies looking a lot closer in supply, though, which is definitely noteworthy.
soO was able to bounce back and up 2 stats army supply, and they kept even after that engagement. But I think stats was missing a couple of storms on the ramp preemptively, as well as I said, a Warp Prism on the offensive to warp in more Zealots after the Banelings had already been used. There's a lot more Archons, and the Storm should be on point here. At the very least, they can cover his retreat. Oh no. Oh
my gosh, the Storm's just like one blast of the Archon. It takes out all the Lings. soO dives in a little bit too deep. He's also eating some Storms as well. Had he gotten to surround to hold that army in place, that could have gone better for him. But as we saw, a lot of bleed out to that Storm, a lot of great damage going down. Now, you at a glance, those high tempo look pretty OP, and you're like, wow, how do you fight that? But I do want to point something kind of interesting out here where soO has not had to worry about any, like, stats doesn't have any detection, really. He had the Oracles early on, but we haven't seen much use of them since. I would love to see Burrowed Infestors have some sort of impact on these battles at this point. If they're burrowed, they're not getting feedback. If they're not detected, then they're able to move wherever they want. And forget Neural Parasite, just Fungal Growth alone to hold the army in place so the Banelings can connect could be huge.
That might be something in the future for sure, because there's usually always Overseers, and I feel like Obs would be sniped faster than the Infestors could be. But High Templar are caught a little bit in the front lines, and only after the entire army died. So.
That was a massacre. That went from like 80 supply down to 25 so quickly. The Overseers even going down. GG's get called, and Stats will take the series 2-0. And move on to the semifinals, where he fights off against Byun. I'm not sure if this one plays out first or if the other one's already ready to go too, but we'll find out in a moment. I think we cast both semifinals, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. More of the Olimoleague when we return.